Here we are, a few days embodying this feminine energy. And I have to say that I realize now that this isn't the first time that I've even looked into this. I was actually looking through YouTube, seeing if there was any tips or tricks from anybody else who has better of an idea of embracing their femininity. And I realized that there was quite a few videos that I had started who knows when, that I watched one this morning, and it was 10 micro tips to embracing your feminine energy. And not that I can remember all of them right at this moment, but a few of them resonated, and I remember, the whole slowing down, being softer. One of them gave some really good tips about bringing in your feminine energy in the modern day world. And I feel like because the world is more geared towards masculine energy, and at least for me, I know that I've always been working towards efficiency, always working towards getting something done, which is that masculine energy, creating the financial stability of not needing anyone else. There's a lot of bits and pieces that go into it. And I know that for me, this whole being soft or appearing weak has definitely been something that I have had major resistance to. And now that I'm becoming more aware of real femininity, of the characteristics rather than the meaning that I've put on, don't be such a sissy, things that we hear as we grow up. Especially living as a tomboy, growing up as a tomboy, the last thing I wanted to be as a kid was some sissy lala that couldn't take care of herself. And so I know that that's where it all started, and I really started embodying that masculine energy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. That was another thing I've been fearful of and very resistant to, free flowing. I don't know if I'll ever be a total, I'm going to wear a dress every single day of my life. I don't know if I'll ever really want to be some prestige, posh woman every given moment. I feel like with anything, you're going to have a balancing. It's going to be a balancing act. It's going to be a weaving of the masculine and the feminine. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with having the masculine energy. Yet I do know that within me, I could see where obtaining more of the feminine energy will catapult me into more of where I actually want to be. To some point, I would like to have a relationship. I would like to be in my soft feminine era with a man who is creating that protective space. And that's a whole different story, because I feel like a lot of men have gotten into their femininity, not saying that they've chosen to be feminine or that they're weak, but there has been a shift, and a lot of women in their masculine is creating the safe space for the man to be more in his feminine, because we all have both of the energies. It's just what they say is that our inner workings, depending upon who we are, we're geared towards one more so than the other. But to have them both, and then to have a partner who is healthy and can add to and create the benefit of each other being together to balance out each other's energy, I guess that's something that I've never experienced, and I'm interested. I'm becoming more intrigued now that I'm becoming more intrigued within myself. So the fears and the resistance that I've had to really stepping forth into femininity really has been about the meanings that I have put on femininity, on becoming someone new, and being fearful of what that meant. The meaning that I have in my head is that if I go towards my femininity, then I'm going to appear weak, that I'm going to have to change everything about myself. And that's just not the case. So the last few days of really being aware and intentional of stepping into this more feminine energy, while we've had our ups and downs, and it's only been a handful of days, I am realizing that in patterns in my life where I have went balls to the wall or absolutely nothing, this is actually a really nice introduction to taking the little micro steps, like I was watching this morning. Taking the little steps to embrace it and become aware of it and know within myself where these feelings are coming up, that of the resistance of not wanting to, and then, taking the time, slowing down and listening to myself and the inner story, and then asking, is that true? Is becoming more softer really becoming more weaker? Or am I able to take responsibility in becoming softer while having the boundaries of putting forth my masculine energy when I need to? And that is a huge revelation for myself. That, I feel like, is me realizing the growth that I have started to obtain within myself. Because I now know that it's my choice. I am capable of making the decisions. I am worthy of taking the steps that I want to take in order to have a different outcome than what has previously always occurred. And so while this is a journey and it's not going to happen overnight, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm feeling like the little things are slowly making a difference. There's definitely more awareness that's coming about, especially today, rather than change. But I feel like you also have to have that awareness in order to make the change. There's so much inner being within myself, so many different categories of beliefs and stories and different things that I felt to be true, to be the commandments, I guess, of my life, that as I take these steps into trying something new, into going more towards the direction of something that seems as though it would be beneficial, and working on getting out of my headspace and more into my body, which being more in your body is your feminine rather than being in your head, which is your masculine, I'm learning different things about myself. I have to say, with the whole slowing down, when I first came across slowing down, I took that so literal. I have taken advice from different subjects in the way of being so literal that, again, it's been all or nothing, and reacting over those beliefs that I've had built up rather than realizing what's going on and responding from a place that feels good instead of just getting it done. Again, feminine energy instead of getting it done am There's always a time and a place for everything. And I'm not saying that I will never resort back to my masculine, but I am feeling the difference within creating the balance. And I can see the difference in others where they've created the balance. And I can, and there's no judgment. Everybody's on their own path. Everybody's got their own priorities. But for me, living in my masculine energy for so long, it's not getting me where I now know that I want to go. I had a revelation last night as well with manifestation. And I had a conversation with a friend of mine a while back, and I was asking her about manifestation and how her manifestations unfolded. Like, did she get exactly what she wanted whenever she manifested something? Or did she find it to be a little bit off? And this friend of mine has grown up in the manifestation culture. She's been doing this as a kid, knowingly, with intention, where I can see that I was manifesting as a kid without knowing what it was. And where my manifestations would come true, they wouldn't quite be where I had hoped they would be. Like, for instance, I bought my very first car when I was 13. It was everything that I wanted, and I was so excited. It was black, it had T-tops, it was a 5-speed, and it was a hatchback, 2-door. It was everything that I had asked for, and I was so excited. It was a little Nissan NX 2000. Nobody knows what that is because I haven't seen but maybe 5 in my entire life. But this car did not run. This car had not ran for years and had been sitting in a field, and it had gotten mice in it. And the lady that it was sitting in her yard, she had tried to get the mice out by putting mothballs in it. So the interior was just ruined. It didn't run. It smelled like mouse piss and mothballs. And it was a project. Yet I was so excited because I had found what I had wanted. Unfortunately, things didn't work out, so that project ended up getting sold to my cousin, who got it running and then took it down to Texas. I'm pretty sure that he still holds a grudge against me because the smell just never, it must have like embodied itself into the frame, because that Texas heat with there's, as a little jelly as I am that he got to drive it, I have to say everything works out for a reason. And yeah, sorry about the smell, although you knew what you were buying. But things like that. There's other instances. I had always wanted a Jeep as well from the time that I was like 13, 14. And I finally bought a Jeep whenever I was in my early 20s. And the Jeep, while it was cool and I was living in Daytona and I was able to drive it on the beach, it was not in the best health. There was holes in there was rust holes in the floorboard that you could see the road as it would go by. The doors didn't actually go to the Jeep, which these are all cosmetic things. These are all things that could be fixed. But I am realizing that throughout my manifestation cycles, where I was manifesting, I wasn't super crisp on the idea of what it was I wanted, being in good health or up to par, if you will. And within having this conversation with my friend, I realized that a lot of that had to do with where I was seeing myself at on my self-worth. And so I say all that because in the same aspect of being intentionally aware of bringing in my feminine energy, there is a balancing act of even remembering that I am worth being soft. And just because I am taking it upon myself to be softer doesn't mean that I'm going to completely lose myself. I am worthy of making these changes to fully embody who it is that I can be, that can make life more pleasurable in ways that I never knew were even possible. And that's getting rid of the stubbornness of those stories that I've created of not being enough by being softer or being flexible or, wearing pink. That's another thing that I have resisted a lot of my life, all pretty much stemming from daycare when some little boy mentioned the fact of, why do you always wear pink? And I'm like 98% sure that after that day, I never wore pink again. I mean, at least for 20 some odd years. So it's very interesting to me, the things that are coming up now that I am being more intentional about this. I did take a micro step and I had to get new body wash, and this round I got a more floral scent. And I will say that the couple of showers that I have taken have been pretty glorious. I mean, scent is a big thing that can change our mood, and I'm not so resistant to it. It's just very interesting how resistant I have been to stepping into my femininity, and it really all stems around being weak. And I've never wanted to be weak, yet it's time to not so much be weak, but it's time to embrace the real me, embrace something new that's gonna create a better version of myself so that I can be more well-rounded. And in hopes, along the way, some well-rounded guy will see the femininity in me and feel good about being in his masculine. The overall goal is not to just get a partner. The overall goal is to feel whole and complete within myself. But I feel like having that wholeness and completeness within myself will bring on the opportunities that I've been craving, that I wouldn't be mad at if I got to experience. So, small steps, big wins. It's all about the awareness and then taking the responsibility and taking the steps to creating something new. It's our life. We're the creators. Until next time.